So we are continuing our look at the fruit of the Holy Spirit this morning. And it is hard to believe that we are only 2 fruit away from seeing what life should be lived like when we are walking in step with the Holy Spirit, and how the fruit will become as abundantly clear in our lives. And so we have carefully looked at and examined each of the fruits so far and reflected on our own lives to see whether the fruit of joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, and goodness is apparent in our life, and how it has grown within and how it has improved when we are walking with the Holy Spirit. And so each fruit is shaped and must become evident in our lives when we are faithfully walking with the Holy Spirit. And so this brings us to the 7th fruit mentioned by the Apostle Paul in Galatians 5:22, which is the fruit of faithfulness. So when we think of faithfulness, we think of somebody who is remaining loyal to someone or something despite the circumstances they find the relationship in. This thought is that somebody who is faithful remains with someone through the good times and the bad times, through the thick and thin, through the highs and lows. Our faithfulness is to them constantly being practiced. That we are mindful of our relationship with them, and we desire to be with them at all costs. So it is constantly being tested. It is constantly being put into practice in our lives and in our relationship. But really, this is only the tip of what faithfulness is supposed to be. And the description that Paul uses for the fruit of faithfulness is a lot deeper than we might think. And so, for us to understand what the fruit of faithfulness is to be like when it is apparent in our lives, we are going to turn to the great book of Psalms. In particular, we'll be looking at Psalm 37. We'll be looking at verses 1 through 11. Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass they will soon wither, like green plants they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity. May the Lord bless the reading of His holy word. So the writer of Psalm 37 is conveying what we will be finding regarding the fruit of faithfulness is to be in our lives. The psalm written by David, a man of great faith and trust in God, wrote what it means to have faithfulness in God as we seek Him with all our heart, as we seek Him with all our soul, as we seek Him with all our might. So when we want to know what it means to have the fruit of faithfulness in our lives, all we need to do is turn to any chapter in the book of Psalms, and we will find many great examples of faithfulness contained within the words of praise, words of joy, and yes, words of anger and anguish. And so here in Psalm 37, we come to see everything that has become associated with faithfulness. in Psalm 37, we see steadfast affection and allegiance to God. We see how he is conveying his loyalty to God. We see that there is a firm adherence to the promises of God. And a few verses later, the observance of duty. There's also a couple verses where there is a strong assurance of being trusted in God. Even Psalm 37 goes on to demonstrate there is a standard or expected result of faithfulness because there is something known as part of it. There is the promises. The meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity. Psalm 37 is a great place to begin to understand what the fruit of faithfulness needs to look like within us. And here's where things are probably going to get a little confusing. And hopefully my goal this morning will help to do an adequate way of explaining and straightening out a couple of things so that everyone understands what's going on with the fruit of faithfulness. So when Paul is writing about the fruit of faithfulness, when he mentions it in Galatians 5:22, he uses a very complex Greek word to describe the fruit of faithfulness. And what I mean by complex is not that the word is hard to define, for it means faithfulness, is that the word used by Paul actually has multiple uses. And because it has multiple uses, it's difficult to say exactly which way he actually meant for the word to be used. For the Greek word Paul uses for the fruit of faithfulness is pistos. Pistos, as I mentioned before, means faithfulness. Now, of all the possible meanings for the word, there are two possible meanings which are viewed as what Paul is actually trying to communicate about the fruit of faithfulness. And what I mean by just two, I found at least 7 or 8 different uses for the Greek word pistos. So of these two, we'll dive in to each one and see how these two things relate to the fruit of faithfulness, and then how these two things apply in Psalm 37. And so the first mention of the word for pistos, it means a conviction or belief. Particularly a conviction or belief that is situated in Jesus' saving work. And the second possible meaning is of the fruit of faithfulness is regarding the character of one who can